Alright kids, you know what time it is. It's samurai time!
For the past 4 years, I've been conceptualizing a miniature army depicting the military forces of Japan during the Sengoku Jidai. This is not a project I've ever talked about because I don't like discussing things that may not happen, but at this stage, models are painted and at least the progress is real and measurable. So this is the story of my feudal Japanese army built for the purpose of a large multiplayer game in China. For context, I've always wanted to depict the samurai on the tabletop. I love the aesthetics of samurai armor with their decorative ropework, face-shaped war masks, and otherworldly helmet decorations. While samurai armor does not necessarily have to have any of these elements, these are the things that stand out to me and which attract me to the aesthetic. I'm particularly fascinated by the direction of the armor development in contrast to its East Asian neighbors of China and Korea. Proximity causes influence. You can see the similarities in armor designs of neighboring nations for this reason, but Japan, by nature of its decentralized warring factions, had a context where armor designs were segregated and siloed, and you can see the difference in Eastern and Western Japanese armor designs before unification, or Togoku and Saigoku, respectively, peaking between the late 1560s to late 1580s. Without a central authority, daimyo also wanted to flaunt their prestige through their armor, hence the bold designs. China and Korea, however, had central authorities, issuing the armor for the Ming and Chosun dynasty respectively. With a unified country, it meant that armor designs were far more standardized by region. This is a very large topic, but you can see the noticeable differences in southern Chinese armor and northern Chinese armor because of sheer geographical distance. So it's not like China did not have a great range of armors, but they tended to be standardized according to regional context, whereas Japanese clans, even in the same region, did not have a central authority issuing armor, and their commanders deliberately wanted to stand out from their rivals, so you can therefore see a greater armor diversity.
When I first heard that there would be a large multiplayer game reenacting a samurai battle in China, I was immediately inspired to sign up. My first instinct was, I want to see what's going on, I want to be involved. Because it would be a good motivation to finish a Sengoku Jidai Japanese army in miniature form, and it would culminate in a massive spectacle. So I joined the group chat on the 26th of July 2021, and in it, everyone was discussing what clan they wanted to be a part of and introducing themselves and so forth. And I wanted to do a very unusual clan. I wanted to do a clan headed by the provincial governor of Inaba called, his name was Honda Masatake. Honda Masatake, that's it. And people were like, who is that? Why would you choose such a minor clan? Who even are they? They're nobody. Choose someone major. And so, because of this feedback, I pivoted to the Yasugi clan. Now, the reason I originally chose the Masatake clan was because the family crest, or the mon, was simply of a rice bowl with 2 chopsticks inside. So, very easy to freehand. But since everyone was complaining, I decided to go the opposite direction, and I chose the Yasugi clan, which has the most complex mon, one of the most complex mons, I think, to paint. So there would be no freehanding this one. This would be all, this would have to be a custom decal. So I would have to sort that out.
When conceptualizing my army, I decided to go with the pop culture view of the feudal Japanese army. The idea of massed uniform ashigaru with clan mons emblazoned upon their jingasa helmets and breastplates did not manifest until later, during the Keijo era. For much of the period, there was no uniform at all. Many troops were not even armored. During the Imjin War, the Ming impression of the Japanese was that many of them only wore embroidered shirts and nothing else. From the book Liang Chao Ping Ra'an Lu, it says that Japanese warriors are unarmored. They don embroidered shirts regardless of seasons, with short pants allowing them to be fleet of foot. They wear finely crafted mail around their collar. This is supported by the words of Luis Frais, a Portuguese missionary who worked in Asia, who said that, "Among us, one does not look like he is going into battle unless he is fully armed. In Japan, one only need to don an armored collar to say that he is armed." Our period sources for Ashigaru depict uneven assortments of armor. It appears that the western regions of Japan were less armored or fought unarmored when compared to their neighbors in the east. The massed look of sashimono can be valid, but may not necessarily be. Sashimono was used, but we don't know the system or rules regarding the usage, and every clan may have had different use cases. Sashimono seem to have become rarer when you go west of Kyoto. Kuroda Yoshitaka observed that the Mori barely used sashimono in 1586 when planning to invade Kyushu. In preparing for the Korean invasion, the Nabe-shima clan of Kyushu had to tie sashimono on with rope as their armors did not have the receiving tubes on them. But the pop culture look is what most people think of when referring to samurai armies, and that's fine. I like to be aware of the history and consciously make a choice to depict the most iconic rather than the most accurate look. I would like to try to make a more historically accurate Japanese army of the Sengoku Jidai at some point, but that would be a while away. The rules of the upcoming game were laid out, but then a global pandemic ravaged the world. All around, there was death. The President of the United States was calling it the China virus, and the game was to be set in China. The optics were bad. The rules of the game were thusly laid out. Dear participants, the following plan is the activity rules for the joint discussion between Commander Guan and the puppeteer, meaning the participants. It is announced in the group today. Please take the time to read it. At this point, we didn't even know what year we would be meeting in, so these rules were just established early. In order to ensure the healthy, orderly, and smooth progression of the activity, the following provisions are made for the activity. Number 1. Each camp will determine a convener. The issues of the parties shall be implemented after the two conveners negotiate with each other after being publicized by the group. Number 2. Since the confirmation of this regulation, each participant will select a family of the Japanese Warring States period to form armaments. Participants who have confirmed their families before, please modify their nicknames in this group according to the format of personal nickname, family name, and affiliation. So everyone selects a Japanese clan to make an army out of, but also to join either the northern faction or southern faction for game purposes. North and south were selected because Japan is usually divided between east and west, so the game organizers thought that north and south would be interesting. Number 3. Follow-up participants must first determine which family they are formed and which camp they will participate in before they can participate in the activity. The final convening date of this event is currently set to be December 31st, 2021. This of course would change in the future. Number 4. The family of the team selected by the participant cannot also be selected by others. Selection before this rule is a special case. A family can only make one original array, and it must be the original array of the selected family. Allied clan members, even if they are independent families or even daimyo, cannot be made for the chosen family's force. If there are other participants to choose from the generals of the selected family, the principle is the same as above. Example. It is normal for Toyotomi to lead an army with Kuroda officers and soldiers. However, because the Kuroda are in the Toyotomi family's establishment, it is not possible to make an independent unit. If someone joins the southern army at this time and also selects the Kuroda family, then Kuroda is the leader of the army, and it can be indicated by the Kuroda family's main formation. Number 5. The minimum limit of tickets for all participants in this event is 3,000 military forces. Calculated based on a model representing 25 people, 120 soldiers in total. Those who do not have enough tickets cannot participate in this event. Note that a cavalry horse and rider only count as one model. The upper limit of a force is currently tentatively unlimited. If there are changes to the above, we will notify you again. After each family chooses their camp, it is not allowed to change without reason. Please make an announcement in the group before changing. For example, our general is innocent, kills my wife and children, and kills the people. I lead the whole army to join the other general, and I am willing to be the front part. So side switching is allowed, but you have to roleplay the reason why. Number 6. One of the key points of this activity is to meet and communicate with each other. So once you decide to participate, please eliminate all difficulties and plan your itinerary beforehand to participate in the activity. The entire event has a production preparation period of about 3 years. Every participant is asked to interact in the group on weekdays, announce the production process, and complete the photos and encourage each other. Number 7. All participants work together to coordinate the scene planning, make the scene terrain, and determine the joint battle design. Number 8. On the day of the event, all event participants are not allowed to touch other people's models without special circumstances or the holder's permission. If damage occurs, both parties must agree to compensate. The rule set for this game would be Warlord Games' Pike and Shotte rule set. Now, I've made all my armies with the basic impetus basing system in mind. The group chat listed the Pike and Shotte basing system as infantry, 4x2 cm for 2 people, 2x2 cm for 1 person, cavalry, 4x4 cm for 2 riders, and 4x2 cm for 1 rider. As for the artillery, the base is 6 centimeters frontal, and the depth is not limited. This is vaguely workable within the guidelines of basic impetus. So I've decided to not glue my figures into unit bases as I normally do, and base each figure individually for flexibility's sake for the upcoming game. So to explain my own army, it's actually 2 armies combined into one. There's my Uesugi clan force and an Ikko-ikki force. And I need to combine both in order to have enough figures to play in the upcoming game. Why did I not just make one army at a time? Well, the way I decided to paint my Japanese forces was to make reflective armor, light effects in the style of non-metallic metal. I originally conceived of this in the second unit I ever painted in 1/72nd scale, that of the Zvezda Samurai from the 28th of November in 2019 until the 22nd of December in 2019. I decided that to represent the shiny lacquer of Japanese armor, I should emphasize the lighting, but that means the armor is very time intensive to paint. It was so time intensive, I decided to skip it for the Ashigaru initially, before pivoting and going all in on the second Ashigaru unit. So I still have to fix the light effects on the Teppo gunners, but this will take a lot of time. Oh dear. In order to save time, I realized it was faster to paint clothes, and the Ikko-ikki are full of peasant warriors, which are easier and faster to paint. I therefore pivoted to making Ikko-ikki warriors instead to fill the ranks. I also have this approach where I like to make 4 units for a historical army and then make a video guide for them. But I was waiting for a samurai sculpt that is still being worked on to complete my 4 units. So I pushed back on making the samurai video guide. So there was further incentive to pivot to the Ikko-ikki. The combined army, as of this photo, was 8 units total, and I've painted a 9th unit since then. The 4 units of my samurai army, in order of completion, are my samurai infantry unit, my Ashigaru Teppo unit, my samurai cavalry unit, and my Ashigaru pikeman unit. The theme of this army was to present an aspect of the samurai as elevated, otherworldly warriors. Now, it's not like the Japanese have a monopoly on spiritualism, poeticism, and the willing sacrifice of the self in pursuit of some idealized abstraction. The popular idea of Bushido was a myth. But this army and its themes are based upon such pop culture tropes. White seems to be a color invoking the purity of the spirit, rarely found in nature, and therefore an appropriate color to symbolize such noble abstractions. So to connote such ideas, I conceptualized that this army should have the dual color imagery of black and white. Black earth bases with white snow, white sashimono, black mon. I drew parallels with concepts of yin and yang, and I wanted to create a stylized, spiritual impression. Now, in East Asia, the views of the samurai are not so positive. They are just human, after all. And in Korea and China, there are countless records of barbaric atrocities by the samurai. But this army wants to lean towards the Western conception of the feudal Japanese and the idealized pop culture version. Culturally, I've had a Western upbringing, but ethnically, I am East Asian. So I've been introduced to the perspectives of both cultural paradigms. And for this army, I'm leaning towards a more positive portrayal. The idea for this army was to make the Ashigaru uniform, to imply the disciplined and orderly nature of the force, but give the samurai individual arms, armor styles, and colors to emphasize their individuality, while using the color scheme of the sashimono to tie them to the broader army. I made my first samurai unit when I was just getting back into miniature making. And there are painting decisions that I would not make today, but I tried to vary the armor colors and emphasize spears more than the katana for historical accuracy. I wanted to make their skin color more pale, both to fit in the theme of black and white color imagery, and to create the idea that nobles would not need to be in the sun very often. The Ashigaru Teppo unit tries to use uniformity of armor with some variations of blues and browns for shirts and pants respectively. The Samurai Cavalry unit is a deliberate mix of colors. They are high-ranking samurai after all. Note the gold armor on the commander, inspired by Wakisaka from the film Hansan, Dragon Rising. The Ashigaru Pikeman unit is where I decided to apply lighting effects on every figure in the army, and it has been very time intensive. This unit was probably the hardest unit to paint in the army so far, and it caused me no small amount of grief. The 4 units of my Ikko-ikki army, in order of completion, are my portable shrine unit, my warrior monk cavalry unit, my ronin unit, and my wako unit. I wanted this army to feel more grounded than my samurai army, more humble. So the spot color for this army was a cream tint. Cream being more natural than white, but not as visually grim as brown. I decided for this army to exclude bright reds. Now, Japanese culture has no problem with reds. I just thought it would be an interesting color palette. I first tried to exclude all reds, but it was too difficult to pull off, and I needed some red tints to keep some units interesting. So no bright reds instead. I wanted this army, as a peasant army, to be ununiform, less armored, and feel like bands of individuals, rather than a trained, centrally organized force. I liked the idea of religious fanaticism for this army, even though historically, motivations for Ikki could be very diverse. I chose cherry blossom petals for the base because they are iconic for Japan, even though they grow in other countries. My portable shrine unit was my first experience of painting Japanese peasants, and I varied the color of clothes. I wanted to play into the idea of religious fanaticism, and a portable shrine is the embodiment of that. I knew warrior monks are iconic for the Ikko-ikki, so the cavalry unit would be my bodyguard for my leader. I added conversions of shide papers and Shinto ropes to add to the religious impression. I see the Ikko-ikki as a place to make more esoteric units, so the Ronin have many unconventional elements. I wanted to keep their faces hidden mostly, to emphasize their mysterious nature, and they have the most ornate robes to reflect their individuality. The Wako pirates have the most bare skin out of all of the units. I wanted them to seem the most savage. They are also very ununiform to reflect their informal nature. So these armies have been my steady, ongoing projects since January 2023, which is when I started making my Japanese armies in earnest. I had known that I had to make this army for 2025 since about 2022 or 2021. I put it off and essentially focused on the Chosun Koreans because they seem to have less representation on the tabletop, which made them exotic. And I like standing up for the underdog, but also because painting samurai seemed very intimidating with their intricate armor. But there was a point I just had to start, so I did. Frankly, the Japanese of the Sengoku Jidai have always been my dream historical army, and it's intimidating to start your dreams, but I'm very glad that I did. I was progressing at my own pace when suddenly the halfway mark announcement was made. We were told that the entire month of December 2024 is the half-duty parade month. All participants must complete at least half of the tickets for this event, that is, 60 soldiers, to participate in the parade. The way to participate is that all famous people will post a group photo of at least 60 people in this group in December to confirm participation. Of course, we welcome everyone to add various details and close-up photos. 60 figures need not include the completion of the base, but one must complete the entire painting of the figure itself and the corresponding weapon accessories. If there are modifications, they must also be completed, as the standard for the military parade. The participation of this military parade will be the first evaluation of the participation of this event, and we hope that all famous people will try their best to complete it. That wasn't a huge problem. I had enough painted figures. The problem was, I had to get all the fellows together for a group photo, and they're very shy. They're a bit underdressed. Their bases need work. Clan Uesugi has answered the call. I had gathered my banners and oathed my troops to the Southern Army, and they were not alone. Leading our Southern Army was the illustrious Ren O.C. of mighty clan Wu-Ten. First among the Nanjun Feiyu soldiery from the group Bei-Tao were supporting the
南军垃圾
from the
北条分家
group were supporting the
南军
in great force did
李逍遥
bring his soldiers of the
岛真
lineage and of the
南军
disciplined soldiers of
安金岭叶枫
and the
武田
organization were firmly on the side of
南军
the banners of
野人
from the
黑田
camp were raised for the
南军
grim of aspect were
羞羞前进强劲
coalition of the
南军
Lord
德罗
has mustered the
理发家
lineage for the
南军
the noble
朱丹
had brought his warriors to arms from clan
查证我报
to fight for the
南军
here was Xin Jing leading a mighty strike force from the Sitan clan representing the
南军
and finally
小信
brought his warriors from the
斋藤
league for the
南军
to warrant such a massive muster. The opposition had to be mighty indeed. In imposing force, the Northern Army was gathering. Leading the Northern Army was
关军长
from the
德军
clan. First among the
北军
there was
林恩
of the
木岛军
family of the
北军
faction. Here was
万世开山
of house
柴田
from the
北军
side. In splendid array was
Rose
troops from the
大举几记
clan of the
北军八月
of clan
基田
had arrived to support the
北军
the massed army of
围城
from the
羽柴
tribe had come to bolster the
北军
faction. Presenting arms were
王玉武田
clan for the
北军
there was
战龙妹
of clan Yu Si Do of the
北军
the hero Waffens had come, leading a force from the
毛利氏
representing the
北军
and finally Daimyo
Ark
brought his
川商
clan on behalf of
北军
here were the armies building in strength, but this was not the end. We already have another parade to look forward to. This group has designated the entire month of June 2025 as the Mobilization Parade Month. All participating daimyo must, please note, it is must, complete at least 120 soldiers for this event to participate in the military parade. Regardless of whether enough finished products have been released before, a group photo of at least 120 soldiers must be posted in the Warring States group in June to confirm their participation. The base does not have to be completed, but the painting of the figure and the corresponding weapon accessories must be completed. If there are any modifications, they must also be completed as a parade standard. The first and second military parades will be used as evaluation for the right to participate in this event. I hope all the big names can do their best to complete it. We all have much painting ahead. I have already made one extra unit of baggage handlers because I thought they would be easier to paint. I was wrong. I think it's time to just make massed units of peasants to get my clan in order for the deadline. But this is my progress so far, halfway to the finish line. One final leap forward to go before I see the other daimyo on the battlefield.
Alright, samurai time is now over. I have to go back to my massive project backlog in preparation for the big day. But it was nice seeing you, and best of luck on your own project logs. Maybe your own samurai time is just beginning. Who knows?
I want to give a shout out to my loyal Patreon members, the Command Bunker, and Mikhail Alusov for supporting this video and this channel. Thank you, fellas. It means a lot to me.